Continuing on with my read aloud series from Indian Economic Development textbook for class 11. I'm doing chapter 7, employment, growth, informalization and other issues. We are going to do I'm going to read unemployment. You might have seen people looking for jobs in newspapers. Some look for a job through friends and relatives. In many cities, you might find people standing in some select areas looking for people to employ them for that day's work. Some go to factories and offices and give their biodata and ask whether there is any vacancy in their factory or office. Many in the rural areas do not go out and ask for a job but stay at home when there is no work. Some go to employment exchanges and register themselves for vacancies notified through employment exchanges. NSSO defines unemployment as a situation in which all those who, owing to lack of work, are not working but either seek work through employment exchanges, intermediaries, friends or relatives, or by making applications to prospective employers, or express their willingness or availability for work under the prevailing conditions of work and remunerations. There are a variety of ways by which an unemployed person is identified. Economists define unemployed persons as one who is not able to get employment of even 1 hour in half a day. So there are 3 sources of data on unemployment reports of Census of India, number 1. 2 is NSSO, as we said, National Sample Survey Organizations, reports of employment and unemployment situation, and Directorate General of Employment and Training data of registration with employment exchanges. Though they provide different estimates of unemployment, they do provide us with the attributes of the unemployed and the variety of unemployment prevailing in our country. Do we have different types of unemployment in our economy? The situation described in the first paragraph of this section is called open unemployment. So economists call unemployment prevailing in Indian farms as disguised unemployment. What is disguised unemployment? Suppose a farmer has 4 acres of land and he actually needs only 2 workers and himself to carry out various operations on his farm in a year. But if he employs 5 workers and his family members such as his wife and children, this situation is known as disguised unemployment. One study conducted in the late 1950s showed about 1/3 of agriculture workers in India as disguisedly unemployed. You may have noticed that many people migrate to an urban area, pick up a job and stay there for some time, but come back to their home villages as soon as the rainy season begins. Why do they do so? This is because work in agriculture is seasonal. There are no employment opportunities in the village for all months in the year. When there is no work to do on farms, people go to urban areas and look for jobs. This kind of unemployment is known as seasonal unemployment. This is also a common form of unemployment prevailing in India. Though we have witnessed slow growth of employment, have you seen people being unemployed over a very long time? Scholars say that in India, people cannot remain completely unemployed for very long because their desperate economic condition would not allow them to be so. You will rather find them being forced to accept jobs that nobody else would do, unpleasant or even dangerous jobs in unclean, unhealthy surroundings. The central and state governments take many initiatives and generate employment to facilitate a decent living for low-income families through various measures. These will be discussed in the following section. Government and employment generation. You may recall about the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. It promises 100 days of guaranteed wage employment to all rural households who volunteer to do unskilled manual work. This scheme is one of the many measures governments implement to generate employment for those who are in need of jobs in rural areas. Since independence, the union and state governments have played an important role in generating employment or creating opportunities for employment generation. Their efforts can be broadly categorized into two: direct and indirect. In the first category, as you have seen in the preceding sections, government employs people in various departments of government employs people in various departments for administrative purposes. It also runs industries, hotels, and transport companies, and hence provides employment directly to workers. When output of goods and services from government enterprises increases, then private enterprises which receive raw material from government enterprises will also raise their output and hence increase the number of employment opportunities in the economy. For example, when a government-owned steel company increases its output, it will result in direct increase in employment in that government company. Simultaneously, private companies which purchase steel from it will also increase their output and thus employment. This is the indirect generation of employment opportunities by the government initiatives in the economy. In Chapter 4, you would have noticed that many programs that the governments implement aimed at alleviating poverty are through employment generation. They are also known as employment generation programs. All these programs aim at providing not only employment but also services in areas such as primary health, primary education, rural drinking water, nutrition, assistance for people to buy income and employment generating assets, development of community assets by generating wage employment, construction of houses and sanitation, assistance for construction houses, laying of rural roads, development of wastelands, degraded lands. So we coming to conclusion. There has been a change in the structure of workforce in India. Newly emerging jobs are found mostly in the service sector. The expansion of the service sector and the advent of high technology now frequently permit a highly competitive existence for efficient small-scale and often individual enterprises or specialist workers side by side with the multinationals. Outsourcing of work is becoming a common practice. It means that a big firm finds it profitable to close down some of its specialist departments, for example, legal or computer programming or customer service sections, and hand over a large number of small piecemeal jobs to very small enterprises or specialist individuals, sometimes situated even in other countries. The traditional notion of the modern factory or office as a result has been altering in such a manner that for many the home is becoming the workplace. All of this change has got none in favor of the individual worker. All of this change has not gone in favor of the individual worker. The nature of employment has become more informal and only limited availability of social security measures to the workers. And if I can add here a line that in the pandemic, the amount of online work that has happened, it is a revolution in itself. Right from, say, marketing to teaching, and for other businesses, online marketing. The workplace is home now. So in the last 2 decades, there has been rapid growth in the gross domestic product, but without simultaneous increase in employment opportunities. This has forced the government to take up initiatives in generating employment opportunities, particularly in the rural areas.